Alrighty, good afternoon, Weather Center viewers. We are, in fact, live on Saturday. This isn't your traditional Tropics talk. We're going to call this one simply Tracking the Tropics, and we're going to see exactly what's going on out there in the Atlantic AOR right now. Because overnight, we once again had a very, very enormous change in what's expected to develop not only across the United States, but in the Atlantic for that matter. And there's a few things that I really want to talk about as well on this live stream, especially since this will go directly to my page, and whoever stumbles upon it, I really want to communicate a couple of different messages that I've really come to put together this morning, especially when I first woke up and I saw all the big changes back in a negative direction. This is a wonderful example of models are models. And I'm just going to put it that way. Models are models. Models are made to do just that. They model the atmosphere. They model the big weather picture. They model the small weather picture. All they can do is model it for us, and we determine exactly what our analysis and interpretation of it is. And, for those of you watching, please don't take this the wrong way. I mean this with the most kindest of hearts, but I've never seen so much discussion, so many unsubscriptions to my channel because of my video a few days ago and my video yesterday, as well as the few things that I've shared in my community page with the static posts. People talking hype, people talking you're using wrong verbiage, you're using this, you're doing that, you're looking at one thing, you're only looking at, some people are saying I'm only looking at the Canadian model or the Euro is the end-all be-all. And, it's very disappointing, honestly, it is, because I'm trying to do my very best to simply communicate an accurate picture. 5% of what I try to do on YouTube for everybody not only watching now, but going into the future is definitely, I guess you could say, almost hype-ish. But, tell me the last time you've ever read a news article or a headline on mass media or social media, for that matter, that didn't have an attention grabber. You know what I mean? Like, I can't put out boring content. It's still YouTube at the end of the day, so there has to be a little bit of an entertainment value there somewhere. But the other 95% of my video content is as realistic and as accurate as I could absolutely make it, at least to the best of my ability and my knowledge. And it's such a shame that so many folks want to put all their eggs into one basket. They want to pledge allegiance to the European model. And it's like, guys, models are there to be utilized for so many different things. They're all created for a purpose. And even though the Euro has been back and forth, it goes to show this is a wonderful example that even the Euro, the end-all be-all, the great entity that everybody seems to swear by, at least in the YouTube community that I've seen. To tell you the truth, during my time in Air Force weather, I really didn't hear about the Euro. I even asked Mr. Castle last night after our live stream, my mentor who's popped in here a few times, I asked him, how come we never use the European model to do our synoptic analysis? Why don't we have that accessible? Because we have the NAM, we have the GFS, we have our specific Air Force model, and there's so many different platforms that we can use and different resolutions of those models as well. All models are not created equal. They are created equal. And when I say they're created equal, I mean they all serve the same purpose, to model the weather, period. That's the big thing. That's what they're there for. In terms of what they depict and how they depict it, of course, there's a whole bunch of different finer details than that. But the models are there to help us look into the future to where we as forecasters can interpolate it and give our analysis interpretation of what they're modeling for us. So at the end of the day, I get where you're coming from. At least I hope I get where you're coming from. All the models are going to have different repertoires. They're going to have different reputations. They're going to have different proven track records. Some are maybe a little bit more reliable in certain situations than others. But to ignore the big picture and focus on one model, one dynamic, one small sliver of the entire big weather picture, the weather story, is an injustice not only to the people who don't know any better, who need this type of information, but at the same time, it's a waste of your own time. Like, why are you going to obsess over such a small picture of the puzzle? Like, guys, there's so much more to it. And, they wouldn't be in commission today if they weren't reliable to some extent. If they weren't, if there wasn't an ability to utilize it. And to tell you the truth, the Euro was one of the, honestly, the Euro and the GFS, outside of what we saw, I believe, on Thursday, the Euro and the GFS were the last ones to the party. The Korean model, the UK model, the Icon, the Canadian, did I say Canadian twice? I apologize if I did. Even the NavGem and the JMA, models that no one really ever talks about, were screaming at us from across the Atlantic saying, guys, watch this. You need to watch this. And so many people out there were ignoring them because they either want to focus mainly on the Euro or on the GFS or both of them and bash one or the other. And that's so bad. That's so bad. And for those of you watching this after the live stream, I'm not saying it's bad that, we're interpreting and we're coming up with different opinions. Absolutely. That's what they're there for. That's what the whole interpretation aspect is for. But don't simply bash the other person for looking at one thing versus you looking at another. Take a look at what they're looking at. You take a look at what the other person's looking at. Come to a general consensus. Weather is such a it's a dynamic, fluid continuum. I'll never forget someone who told me that when I was in technical training to become a weather forecaster in the Air Force. Remember the 3 words, and you'll forever understand weather: dynamic, fluid, continuum. Dynamic because it's always changing. Always changing. No, there's no end state. It's always going to change. It's always going to evolve. It's evolving right now. Dynamic, fluid. Fluid, if you begin to understand and look at it from a 3-dimensional perspective, like a fluid of water just moving across the planet, you begin to understand why it's moving the way it does and why certain things act the way that they do. And then continuum, because it's never going to stop. It's never going to stop. There's always something moving somewhere, and they all play a role with one another. And I have some notes up here. That's why I keep glancing up, because there's a few things on the laundry list I really wanted to get out there today, because it's unfortunate that now that we've lost about 3 days of lead time on this, now we're slowly starting to get a message out there. And I understand that in terms of track guidance, we're still up in the air. It's still too early to tell. And I'm not going in here trying to say I know a landfall, I know where it's going, I know this. What I'm trying to do is just simply raise awareness that we all need to start communicating to a higher level what the models are trying to tell us. It's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong. The fact of the matter is, with a situation like this, there's people in harm's way. And if we sit here bickering amongst each other, oh, the Euro, oh, the Canadian, you're hyping. It's like what we're doing is wasting time and taking away from the big picture. We're taking away from the message. And the message is being convoluted and distorted because we're playing a rapid game of ridiculous telephone. Oh, Nazario said the Euro has a Cat 5. Oh, shoot, guys, there's a Cat 5. No, I didn't say there's a Cat 5 coming. I said that the Euro is depicting a very strong hurricane. Oh, that means it's coming to Florida. No, I didn't say it's coming to Florida. I'm saying it's out there. Oh, you're saying that the hurricane's coming now it's not showing anything. You're wrong. It's like, no, I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying, and you see what I mean? Like, it's an ever-evolving situation of people trying to win the battle of who's right and who's wrong. And honestly, in the weather picture, this is the one career field where you are allowed to be wrong, and you can sit there and say, we'll get him next time. We'll try to get him next time. Forgive me, I wasn't looking at the chat. We're going to get to 12Z data here in a second, but it's very interesting. I have the satellite image on College of DuPage pulled up because you can see we're really starting to see some good development with this thing. We have almost what looks like upper-level outflow beginning to take off along the northern portions of it, a little bit on the southern periphery of it as well, and you can really... Excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping again. I got my coffee in hand. 100% chance of me telling you the forecast. You're really starting to see a low-level circulation getting going. And to tell you the truth, everybody out here praising the Euro, from what I've seen, and I even went back in time to the 10th, the 11th, and even before that, wherever the websites could let me go that far back in time, it was actually the German model, the Icon, that's been doing immaculate with this system. Even all the way down to what the MSLP and Precip model made it look like, its physical depiction on the model charts. It's been doing a hell of a job. The Icon has been the one on the ball with this. The UK model is also doing a great job with this system as well. And if we were to go simply off of those two models, we can see development and maybe even upwards of a named system by the time we get into late tomorrow, if not Monday, at the rate this thing wants to deepen down. Especially now, you can plain as day see that the shear is gone. I mean, honestly, even looking up at where Sean is, I don't see a whole lot of wind shear in those upper level clouds, and you can definitely not see it down here where our Invest 94L is. And I'm very thankful that National Hurricane Center very quickly amped up their predictions. 90% chance of it coming to fruition in the next 7 days, 70% chance in the next 48 hours. Because I've seen a lot of other people out there mentioning that we could see maybe a storm by the back end of next week going into next weekend, and it's like, no, that's way behind the curve, guys. You're going to be way behind playing catch-up. Ethan, thank you very much. Make sure to get some good photos of the eclipse. I can try, dude. I can break out my old Canon T6 camera and see what I can do. I've never photographed things like that. I got some car pictures earlier today because I finally took the race car out for a drive. Let's see. Let me go back up. Nazario Eclipse today. Tommy versus KSI. This couldn't get any better. Tommy versus K. Is that a boxing match? How close are we? That sounds good to watch. That sounds awesome, honestly. Miss Leah, welcome in. Zenful, welcome in. Alex Baller, hi there. Sharon, welcome back, everybody. I know I told you we weren't going to do a live today, but when I woke up this morning and saw all the ruckus all over social media of everything going crazy, and then looking at some of our intensity models, I'm like, okay, let's do something different today. Let's all sit down and actually take a look at the model data together, and we'll all talk about it collectively, because it's 12 Zulu that's been very divisive. Overnight, while we're all fast asleep, the models seem to have a one-track mind, and that's building it and moving it west-northwest. And then it's 12Z that becomes a little more, whoa, So we're going to look at it together. I have everything pulled up in my tabs. I haven't looked at any of it yet, so it's going to be as much of a shock to me as it is to you. It's 12:41, so I'd imagine most of our data is in by now. Will this storm come to Florida? No, it's not coming to Florida. And honestly, I'm getting, I'm trying not to say this with an abrasive tone, but I am truthfully, slowly but surely running out of patience for people attacking my YouTube channel, saying I'm hyping a fish storm, and saying that I'm mentioning the United States. The only thing that I have flagrantly said about the United States is we have to watch what comes out of the Caribbean in our next cold front, because as it comes down, even the euro is now on board. For those of you still worshiping the euro behind the scenes, the euro is on board with somewhere in between 975 and a 979 millibar nor'easter firing off over the mid-Atlantic states and really wreaking havoc over our northeast. And that also means that we're going to probably see another round of severe weather down here, maybe not as widespread, because if it does form to our north, we'll get the tail end of the frontal boundary moving through. We'll still have the same dynamics, albeit for a shorter window of time, and we'll have to see how that pans out. We'll take a look at that as well and see what it's showing. 94L looks giant. I agree. Don't worry about them, Nazaria. Let them go to... Yeah, that is true. You are the best doing it right now. Haters are going to hate, brother. That's why you're killing it in the meteorology world. They can kick rocks. I appreciate that. I appreciate what you do. I think people just don't understand that we don't control the weather. We can only guess what it is going to do and see what happens. Exactly. I agree, Brooke. Would the Windward Islands be affected by... At this point in time, especially, and for those of you watching, this is going to sound very ridiculous of me to say, but the more we can get this storm to blow up, the more we can get this thing to really go strong and bomb out while it's in the main development region, the better chance we have of it missing everybody. If it doesn't organize and it takes its time, it's more than likely going to stay in the lower latitudes. So at this point, we need to be cheering this thing on to get it going so it can scoot up and out of here faster than if it were to go maybe upper-level tropical storm, low-end hurricane, and potentially pummel our Leeward Islands. As of right now, the general consensus does not look like the Windward Islands are going to see too much, but again, it's all speculation. We're still at least 3 to 5, maybe even a full week out, so we'll see what happens. You love what you do and do it well. You are knowledgeable. Most people watching are not trained. Keep doing your best and ignore all the naysayers. Thank you very much, Judy. I appreciate that. No, I agree with you. You have to look at all of them and look at common trends. Exactly. And I know where you were coming from as well, McDuck. I understand that all models, there's a number of them that are created to serve different purposes, but with the overarching theme, is it's all going to tell us a different interpretation of what the weather's doing and their best initial computerized guess at the dynamics of the atmosphere. That's what I mean. And, that's why I always say we should lean in on different models. We should always take a look at every single individual slice, every piece of data that we can, to just come to an overall consensus. And then we can decide this model's not doing good, this model is doing good, this model is definitely not doing good. Clearly, in this situation, we can definitely say the euro is not doing too good. It's making very dramatic adjustments, and it's throwing a lot of us off out there in the big picture weather community, because it went from nothing to Cat 4 on the way to Cat 5. Then it went even more nothing, even more. Like, we lost it altogether, just organized tropical wave, and now we're back to Cat 3, Cat 4. So the euro in this case is actually not doing too good in terms of its run-to-run consistency. So see, it goes to show that at the end of the day, all models are going to have their flaws, all models are going to have their shining point. So we need to look at everything. We have to analyze it carefully, because we can miss even the slightest of smallest details, and that's going to throw everything out of whack, and then you're really going to look like you're hyping. All right, let's get back to the chat. There's a reason you stand out from other channels. Some people are scared to forecast and be wrong. They find comfort reading the now, and that's why I stopped it. Jennifer, I applaud you for that. I applaud you for that. In this situation, this is no time to read what's happening. We have to get ahead of this, because a lot of the trends still keep it hitting somebody, and if it does get stronger, that could be very bad. We had a lot of people hurting from simply Tropical Storm Philippe, a 45, 50-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Imagine if we had something even upwards of just a Category 1 going over people. But all right, we looked at the satellite. I'll get back to the chat here in a second. Thank you all for the kind words. Let's start looking at what we've got. So here we have, let me make sure. So Icon is fully all the way in. Let's see what we got. So at about 24 hours out, we're already seeing a really good deepening trend. Very clear center of circulation. There goes Sean continuing to wander its way off. There's our system that's going to bring us some pretty good cold air as of tomorrow down here in the southeast. It's already getting its way through here now, as a matter of fact. I stepped out and you can definitely see a drop in the humidity, or feel a drop in the humidity. So there it goes. By day 2, we're definitely looking very tropical depression, tropical storm. This is 48 hours out, and we're waking up in the morning on Monday, the 16th of October. And then as you go through time, we really start to see it amp up. I'm already seeing reflections of 30, 34 knot winds in there. So this is tropical storm approaching hurricane strength, still moving west. We still have a dominant high out there in the Atlantic. But you can see as that system gets going along our southeast area, even the Icon is on track with a big nor'easter deepening down. That's what's going to save us. Because what's happening is, and I'm noticing on all the models, we have this broad amplitude ridge out here and a very weak trough that's giving us the cold air that we have right now. And the reason that this system is moving west like it's trying to is because that ridge is very broad and it's strong. Remember what I've mentioned in previous videos, that the atmosphere wants to be in as little disturbed environment as possible. It wants to be in equilibrium. And when we have very low amplitude features to where the jet can move almost peacefully, if you will, that's good. When you have a massive cyclone like we're anticipating for the eastern seaboard coming in, that's when things get wonky. And you can kind of see, even in the low-level winds, look at how we have high pressure to the north off of the east coast of the northeast United States, up here off of eastern Canada, and then this high down here is starting to go away, because what's happening is, as this upper-level trough comes down, a sharp amplitude trough, now as a response, it's needing to sharpen the ridge. And if you see all this rushing of the winds out of the north down here, in response to that system building over the CONUS, we have the rest of the atmosphere responding as it needs to. So this ridge is going to build, it's going to sharpen, so its width, its area of influence is going to narrow down, and that's what's going to allow this system to escape. You can actually see, you can honestly almost draw the track out in the winds here if you wanted to. You can take it right through. There's our prevailing easterlies, and then right there you can see the winds getting pulled in towards that massive baroclinic low that's going to bomb out along the east coast. So the Icon model looks like it definitely wants to miss the islands. It definitely wants to miss the islands. It wants to strengthen it, unfortunately, into what looks to be a major hurricane, but it definitely misses our islands completely, and they should almost see very little impacts, at least in terms of the winds, according to the Icon. Let's go to the GFS. Let's get the GFS out of the way. So GFS is 288 hours of 384 out. Let's go ahead and track this through time. GFS is on board with the developing it too, if you see that. It's finally getting its act together. We're developing it, moving to the west, moving to the west. That's not looking good. Why are you? Okay, no, there it goes. Now it's moving to the north. Category 1, Category 2 hurricane. What the hell are you? Okay, there we go. I was going to say, what are you doing, GFS? So there it goes. Still getting picked up. Not an issue for the islands, thankfully. Keeps it far enough to the north. We miss Bermuda because we have our frontal force field and high pressure out over the mid-Atlantic southeastern states right there. We have all this. There's our occluded front. Here's our warm sector, another baroclinic low out there. Here's our cold front. So that's our force field. So Bermuda is safe. We are safe down here because there's our channel. Let me change the color. There's our weakness right there, at least according to this iteration of the model. There's our tunnel, and that's where this system wants to track. So it looks like the stronger it gets, the more it's going to rebound and take that escape route and go north. And then it looks like the GFS is still adamant that we're going to get a low down there. So that's that. I want to see what happens. Oh, it looks like the GFS is spinning something up in the Caribbean, though, still. There it goes. Moving it towards the Yucatan. It's been doing that for a while now. It makes you wonder if it's finally going to get it right. And let's look at the Canadian model. Let's go Canadian now. Let's see what the Canadian has for us. Let's go to 12Z. Here we go. All right. So let's go through time. Develops the system. We got a tropical storm. It's looking like Monday into Tuesday it could go tropical storm. The Canadian model. The Canadian model still wants to take it right through those islands. The Canadian model still wants to bring it in. Let's get a closer look. So, see, this is what I was talking about. If it stays weaker, this is going hurricane as it approaches the islands. That's a direct hit from the Canadian model. So we still have a margin of error. The Canadian model, in fact, does not really want a nor'easter to start because of whatever juice comes out of the Caribbean. It looks like the Canadian model wants it to form on its own along the east coast, mainly just due to the jet. It has that system forming well to the north. So that's why it's not going to escape, or it's not going to help break down our ridge in the upper levels. Because if I switch over to the upper level dynamics, I bet you 10 to 1 if we look at our height anomaly, there you go, see? See? You think I've done this before, but there's our broad ridge, there's our dominant broad ridge, and that's exactly why the Canadian model wants to track it west. This would be the area that it has to escape. So that's why this model wants it to move further to the west, because this keeps our corridor, our rope ladder, if you guys want to use that analogy, off to the west of it. Whereas I bet you if we switch over to the GFS, leave it at this exact same time, switch over to the GFS, yeah, see, look at the difference. You can already see that this ridge is much weaker. It's starting to amplify as this trough digs in. We have a strengthening feature here. So now we have a different escape tunnel. The escape is a little bit further to the east. So that would allow it to track up like this and miss everybody. And don't worry about that Bermuda. I'm drawing the line. If I have anybody in here from Bermuda, don't worry about where I'm drawing my arrow right now. I'm drawing it based on what I see at this current time. If we go through the rest of the loop, you'll see how that ridge, see how it retrogrades, and as in response to this system deepening, we have our amplifying pattern over the Atlantic, and now you can see our escape route is all in through here where the colors are gone. So now this thing can completely just lift up, take advantage of that larger opening of opportunity to move to the north and become less and less of a threat. And there you go. There you have it. We have that giant trough, that nor'easter system. That could honestly be a bad one as well for folks up there. Definitely be a bad one. Let's see what the pressure is on that as we get closer and closer to that developing. So there goes our situation in the southeast. Looks like we could have another severe weather event still on Friday the 20th into the weekend, and then there you go. We have it blowing up 969, 971. It looks to bottom out at 969. Bottom out at 969. And I know that the Euro overnight was calling for that as well. We were getting very close into the same millibar proximity. So there goes our system deepening down. There's Cat 3 approaching Cat 4 strength. They're trying to. There it goes, Cat 4. And then there's our, we'll call it bombogenesis of this nor'easter system, going all the way down to 978, 974, 973. So the lowest point on the Euro as of 0Z last night was 973. You put that into perspective, and that would be equitable to a Category 2 hurricane in the Atlantic. So that's going to be a monster situation that we have to watch out for. All right, what questions do you guys have? Let me get back to the chat. I apologize. I'll keep supporting you, bud. Don't worry about the people. I appreciate that, Matt. Jacob, it's often the lesser-known models that sniff out systems before the major ones do. CMC and Icon are excellent. They are, actually. They've done very well, especially in the initial development. I'm going storm chasing today around 1:30 in South Florida. Can you run some models and tell me how the weather will look around that time? Yeah, absolutely. Amen, Jennifer. It is CAG season now. Yes, it is. What about feeder bands for the Windward Islands? Is that possible? Not that far to the north. With these iterations, not that far to the north. We could maybe see some residual moisture pulled in by the storm, but nothing in terms of actual major feeder bands. On the Canadian iteration, yes. The Canadian model wants to still punch it right through those islands, so we still have a margin of error. There's no saying where this is going to go. And I bet you if we go over the ensembles, I have those pulled up as well, we'll probably see a delineation out there as well. So let's take a look at that as well. Some cities in the U.S. with no sun, that don't look good. Euro goes very close to Barbuda and St. Martin, honestly. Yeah, it does. It does. And that's why we have to keep an eye on it. Because at this point, let me go ahead and zoom in. We'll go to the tropical Atlantic. You can see that with a major hurricane like that getting close to you guys, we're definitely going to see, we're going to feel some effects. We'll definitely feel some effects. In fact, if we go to the winds, you can see it's going to be a very tightly concentrated system, very symmetrical. Right front quadrant is still going to have the strongest stuff, but those islands up there, especially being so close to the center, are still going to realize very intense tropical storm, if not very low-end hurricane winds. Because if you go just above this level and you look at the winds, there you go. You can see that the wind field around it is not the biggest, but it's enough to create some ruckus out there for you guys, especially the very northern tier islands. The one I'm still concerned about that I want us to watch is this one, the Canadian model. Because the Canadian model wants that ridge to stay broad, keep it spinning. You can see it plain as day right in through here, spinning right there, a nice anticyclone, and that wants to keep it moving right through. And if it moves right through, we will definitely see, I'm going to say it, don't you unsubscribe, we're going to have catastrophic conditions out there for those islands if we have a Category 1 moving Category 2 hurricane out there. Again, I saw so many comments and reports coming out of there when Tropical Storm Philippe, a 50-mile-an-hour storm, was going through there. There were a lot of people commenting and reporting that there were very intense conditions for a period of time. And if we have a full-fledged hurricane going through there, that's not good. And that's exactly why I want this talked about. I want this discussed. I want every possibility explored. I'm tired of having people come at me saying I'm hyping simply because I want people to talk about this. I'm not saying anything definitive. I'm not saying anything is conclusive, anything is concrete, solidified. It is what it is. No, all I want is for this word to get out and for you guys to share the information. That's it. We don't have a fully accurate representation, and we probably won't until we get into sometime next week. That's just the way the weather cookie crumbles. Is there any chance 94L takes longer to develop by being broad and is pushed more west? Or is the CMC overdoing the ridge? It's still too early. It's still too early to mention if it's overdoing the ridge. But that's an excellent question because you mentioned that. And let's go to our ensembles. Oh, here's our UK model as well. The UK met for another little confirmation. And if you look, there's our system. 48 hours out, we already have it consolidating and organizing. So the UK model is on board, keeps the ridge a little bit more broad, and tracks it right into the island. So the same general track as the European model, pretty much going right over the northernmost islands on this iteration. Let me see let's go down to the surface and see what that looks like. Yeah, so not as strong, but this model has a high-end tropical storm, if not maybe approaching Category 1 hurricane, going right over the northern Antilles. For those of you in the chat, if you could please call out those islands. I'm not extremely well-versed with the Lesser Antilles, but that's definitely a direct hit to some of our leeward islands, at least on the UK model, as of 0Z. Let me see how much of the Korean model we have in for 12Z. Is it populating? It is populating. All right, so we have 72 hours. So at 72 hours, Korean model is not strengthening it as fast. It doesn't look like it's strengthening it as fast. It wants to keep it somewhat on the weaker side, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. We still have this very strong ridge to the north built in. There's our call. Let me draw it better for you guys. There's our call right there. Calls are important. Calls are neutral points in the winds, which typically indicate that we have changed air masses. Now, please roll with me. The reason, especially when I was doing my tropical analysis, when I was working what we called the Southcom area of responsibility, analyzing our charts for South and Central America, calls were very important because that's typically where you could look and know, okay, this is a different air mass, a different area of pressure, or a different pressure gradient. This is a different pressure gradient, a different weather system. And if you look, that lines up really well with where our frontal system is, right in through here. There's our front. And then here's our very broad amplitude ridge that's driving this thing west. So if I were to guess, the Korean model is going to want to do something very similar to what a lot of our other models are doing. Getting closer to the Leeward Islands. If it stays weak, it could move a little further to the west. We don't have all the data in. Let me go ahead and refresh the page, see if we get a couple more panels. No, not yet. Let's go over to some ensembles. So let me change this. That's UK. Here are 6Z GFS ensembles. Now, the 6Z still wants to keep a majority of them out to sea, but a few of them do wander it a little further to the west. And actually, there's one ensemble member that takes it all the way through Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, into the Bahamas, and then curves it back to the west of Bermuda. I don't know about that, but you can tell the ensembles are exploring all possibilities. And then we still have a whole lot of agreement for something coming out of the Caribbean, like a buttload of agreement. A lot of them coming out of there, like swarming, like a wildfire. But, shucks, you know what? The GFS is trying to highlight something even upstream of Tammy. There's something towards the back end of the run that gets a few ensemble members going in this direction. Let's take a look at what the Euro has for us. Tropical Atlantic, cyclone locations. Let's go to 0Z from last night. So there it goes. There goes Tammy. See, a lot of the Euro ensembles still want to track it in there. Like, that's why we can't stop talking about this. And a number of those ensembles that bring it in through that general area, the Leeward Islands and scraping the coast of the U.S., British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, they all bring it down to a Category 2, approaching Category 3, maybe approaching Category 4, one or two of the members look like. So, and they're narrowing down, so we are finally building confidence, at least the Euro might be. We're starting to narrow that margin of error a little bit. We are no longer looking at something like this. We're definitely seeing it close the gap. So now we have a pretty good agreement that, unfortunately, it's going to be a close call. It's definitely going to be a close call. So we'll have to see how much it develops. Like I said, as very weird as it may seem to the ordinary passerby, we want this storm to get strong. We want it to get strong because it'll help it move to the poles. We need it to go hard early, whereas if it starts to blow up later, that's going to be a problem. Exactly, I agree, Brian. Category 1, Category 2, they don't need that. They definitely don't need that. Facts ain't hype. Keep them coming. Love your content. Mick, thank you. Mick and Marley, thank you very much. Watching from AG. H-Werf, H-Mon, half say blow up 94L and definitely miss the islands based on curving. However, H-Werf and H-Mon take it to Cat 4. That would be historic for the location and time period. We can't handle that right now. We had up to 2 days of no electricity. See, and that's the thing. That's exactly that right there. NE. I'm very glad that you brought that up. And that's exactly why I really don't... I will take the AA guns, the 88 millimeter guns, firing off, hyping. I'll take it. I'll take it on the chin. But there is a reason we're watching this. And it's you guys out there the reason we're watching it. And you know, it's absurd that there are so many people out there who still want to accuse the few of us who are talking about it as fearmongers because it's not going to the U.S. Oh, it's not coming to the Southeast. Nothing's happening. Clickbait. It's like, oh yeah. You guys realize that there are people who live on those islands, right? They're not just something drawn on the map for pleasure or for artwork, you know? So, we'll have to wait and see. Again, I posted it on my Instagram earlier for those of you who follow me there. We're back in a holding pattern, and that's what's rough about systems that are so far away. And that's the reason I like to talk about them so early. When I start seeing things lining up, I like to bring awareness to it because then we can all sit back and just watch. we don't have to play catch-up when we have imminent danger approaching any kind of location. You can see that the Euro has completely discontinued any kind of agreement that we're going to get something out here, though. There's not a whole lot there. And then there's our bomb cyclone coming off the mid-Atlantic states and really getting going to the north. What else can we look at? It's 104. I still have to make sure I give myself time to do a full-fledged video on this. There's the Korean model. Oh, no, Korean model actually does get it going. There it is. So we're already approaching mid-grade tropical storm by Wednesday, 12Z, 18 October, it looks like. And this iteration is definitely taking it a little further to the south. Definitely taking it a little bit further to the south. The stronger it gets, though, I do anticipate it's going to move to the north. It might hook at the last second, kind of like what Icon is doing. So we'll have to see. Very intense frontal activity, though. We have fronts all through this area. Low, low, attaching fronts all through there. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. There's high pressure here, and there's high pressure here. So the only area it has to escape, at least according to this model at this point in time, is up through there. So this would be a landfall for one or two of the island nations up there. Part of me wants to stay on the stream and see what this model says as it continues to populate, but I know we're probably going to be here till about 2 o'clock, and I'm not going to hold you guys up like that. Let's see, what other model can we look at on here? Oh, let's go to the Euro control member. Let's see what the control member has for us as of 0Z last night. I haven't looked at this yet. So control member has it deepening. It does still kind of take its time. We get maybe a tropical depression by late in the day, Monday into Tuesday, and then we go tropical storm as we get into Wednesday. Yeah, there we go. And then we start strengthening. And then the control model takes it just barely to the north of our islands. And then there goes our bomb cyclone for the northeast, a 970 low over the extreme upper northeast. That's going to be a major storm event. We also got to start talking about that. Little ways away, but we have a lot of good consistency, model to model, run to run with that thing. And then there goes Tammy, major hurricane out there in the Atlantic. And you guys see what I was talking about earlier? It's really cool that this model helps us realize that. So you see how even though we have that little low embedded in there, we have a very broad ridge. You see that broad ridge? It's like a speed bump. It's a speed bump right now because the jet is still flowing. You know, okay, this isn't true zonal flow, west to east, uninhibited flow, but it's doing okay. But then notice how as you go towards the back end of the run, see how that ridge really becomes a lot more narrow and sharp amplitude? It's one of those more annoying speed bumps where your car like boom, boom, bounces over it as opposed to rolls over it. And then see how now we have that really strong low developing here. So our trough is digging south like this. And then we have this low deepening down. See, everything's working like clockwork. And then you have that long trough probably in the upper levels there. And now we have a track or we have a route for this thing to take up like this. So it's all making sense. We got to watch what happens over North America. We have to watch the trough. I bet you 10 to 1 if we go to the satellite, whatever energy is out there right now, we can probably see it. Let's go to our full disk. Actually, you know what? Let's switch over to, we'll switch to water vapor. Let's go to water vapor. And then let's go with, we'll go to global sectors. We'll go west. And then we'll look at full disk out west. That's not what I wanted. That looks horrible. We'll go this one then. There we go. Much better. So here we go. We have that first system working its way through. This is the one we've been talking about on my channel as well. There's our low, our system moving across. There's a nice big anticyclone over top of the Caribbean. That's why you guys haven't really been seeing a whole lot of thunderstorm activity out there. It's riding around that subtropical high. Nothing's really getting on in there too much, unfortunately. And then this here, you see all this aggressive jet energy. That's what's coming to really mess up our pattern. All of this stuff out here. So, I mean, look at that. That's incredible. We have 1, 2, 3. 3 little different embedded vortices. You can argue this is a fourth right there. 3 to 4 different embedded vortices, all cold core in nature with that trough digging in from over the Alaskan Peninsula and digging south. So this is why I always urge people who are trying to do their own analysis or do their own weather content, you got to look at all this. You got to look at everything. You got to look big, big, big picture and then narrow it down. Because everything that's happening over the Eastern Pacific and the Central, I mean, shoot, that's almost even the Western Pacific. I can see parts of Asia and Russia on this chart. And that's how far ahead I'm looking, because this is all going to play a role. If you track this through time, you're thinking between the 20th and the 22nd, we're going to start seeing impacts. So all this stuff out here, you track that through, and by the time we get to next weekend, that is where it should be, depending on if we start to see blockage in the pattern slowing them down. And if it slows down, that's not good. Because to tell you the truth, what I'm concerned about is all these little embedded cold pockets. Because what could happen is this will help to continue to deepen our trough and slow the pattern down. And then you have this enormous blocking ridge right there. Look at how north, or look at how far to the north this blocking ridge extends. You can see it all the way up there off the chart at this point, all the way up almost into the Arctic, or not the Arctic Circle, but getting close to the Arctic Circle. That's how sharp of a ridge we have out there, and it's starting to topple. It looks like it's going to be a cutoff ridge, because look at how that jet energy is trying to go zonal. If you guys watched that video where I explained everything wants to be equal, everything wants to be equaled out, and the atmosphere just won't let it happen because of the dynamics on Earth, there's a good picture of it. You can see the jet really digging hard, trying to push west to east, path of least resistance, to support our low here, and then cut this whole area of warm air aloft off. It's trying to cut through there and eliminate this, so this will be a bubble of warm air up there over the northern Canadian territories, and then all this cool air is going to try to rush underneath it and move off to the east. And it's all this stuff. If we can cut that ridge off and get that jet energy moving, we can speed up the path of all these systems, and that'll help keep 94L future Tammy out to the Atlantic. If we can't cut this off, and that blocking ridge stays in place, this is going to take a little bit longer to get out. We're going to have cold air in our area for a little bit longer. We're also going to start to see a ridge build back across the southwest. This is also going to build, it's going to slow the pattern now. It's going to dork everything up. So there's a huge respective area that we need to keep an eye on. Is it just me or this looks massive? The speed of Tammy will impact the route. Not the speed of Tammy, the speed of everything else we're looking at right here in this water vapor shot. This is in reality. I know it sounds weird. You guys probably, some of you in there probably thinking, he has no idea what he's talking about. Why are we looking over in the Pacific for something forming in the Atlantic? Because all this upper level influence here is what's going to help down the road as that storm gets going and gets closer to our Lesser Antilles. If we can take this trough, one of these troughs, one or two, if we can get either one of these troughs and park it over the East Coast and open up that channel, we'll be good. We'll be good. The problem is if this blocking ridge stays in place, let's see if we can go to a chart real quick and see how strong that is. We'll go North America. We'll go upper levels. We'll try to go as live right now. There we go. We'll go 12Z today or 18Z today. That's fine too. And let's see what our 500 millibar anomaly looks like. Yeah, see, wow. Look at that sharp amplitude ridge. Lines up perfectly with what we just saw on the water vapor. There's that big trough digging in, and then look at that huge ridge arcing up there. That is a blocking ridge. This is what you call an omega block. Brian, if you're still in the chat, this is our secondary block. You'd mentioned Rex block when I called that out in my video yesterday. That right there is what's called an omega block, because you have a huge overarching ridge just stopping the pattern in its tracks. That's going to slow this trough down. It's going to slow this trough down, and it's going to keep that ridging of air all across, or that ridging of warm air across western Conus and most of Canada. And in response to that, it's going to slow down the movement of these systems out here, which is probably why our models are thinking we're not going to see as much shear, because what was supposed to be working its way through the east of the United States to provide that shear is not there yet. So we got to see. This is why I obsess over this. This, honestly, if you're not looking at something at this level, something at this big of a scale when trying to predict what's happening in the weather to the small scale, you're doing it wrong. If you're starting small and trying to go out from there, you're doing it wrong. Mr. Shane Castle, who has joined us for some of our live streams, will tell you that right away. That was one of my biggest flaws when I first started analyzing the weather. He goes, well, when you draw zoomed in, it gets very easy to blur the lines, and when you draw and analyze zoomed in, you're missing what's actually happening with the pattern. Start large and then work your way down. Funnel it down, and then you'll be much better off. Much better off. I see your comments, Alex. Show me the models for the storms in an hour or so, and I start storm chasing from 2 to 5. Let's do it. Let's go really localized. We'll go HRRR, southeast. And let's see, between 2 to 5 o'clock. Where's my little thing? So this is 2 o'clock right now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m. I'm not really seeing a whole lot down there, buddy. I mean, there's some storms right off the coast that look kind of pertinent. But after that, they don't really get going. I think there's just too much dry air out there. At least on this iteration of the HRRR, it doesn't really show much. Let's go see this. Yeah, it looks like that line is going to be off the coast with that front, so we're going to miss it. We're not going to see much out here. All right, let's check the Korean model one last time, and then I'm going to hop off of this. 102, 108, 114. So yeah, the Korean model wants to take it right into the islands. I can already see it right there. Korean model holds on to our high and slows the pattern down. So this doesn't look very good. So that means we have UK, Euro, and Korean model, and the Canadian model for that matter. We have 4 models still calling for something to pummel the islands as a low-end hurricane or stronger. Low-end hurricane or stronger. So it goes without saying, we still have a lot of work to do. We have a lot to watch and a huge area to watch for that matter. Everything that you're showing us goes hand in hand, and thank you for breaking it all the way down, breakdown for us. Thank you. You're very welcome. It's cloudy in Homestead. Yeah, there's some residual action down there. Just do you, be you, dude. There's a boatload of people that are cheering on for a hurricane. People like the excitement and don't care about the flip side of the consequences. Do you, be you, Mike. I absolutely agree. Well, that trend isn't good. No, Supernova, that's exactly why a few days ago I said we have to watch this. The trend looks like it's going to strengthen, and we still have a huge gap. The American model, the GFS, wants to take it out up and away quick. We still have 3 to 4 models that take it way too close as a stronger storm. So, and there's probably going to be, hopefully there's going to be some wiggle and wobbling, not only with intensity, but with our track as well. Let's go back to Tropical Tidbits and see if we have any new information on our page here. So yeah, there's our 12 Zulu tracks, and you can see that we're splitting the difference still. We still have a few members that track it right into our Leeward Islands. Then there's a couple of them that want to take it to the north. So we're getting closer. We're developing that confidence, but we still have a lot to watch. Still a long ways away, where this is already pushing the 5, 6, 7 day mark at that point, for some of the models anyways. The numbers there, this is the 3-day mark, 4-day mark, 5-day mark, 6-day, 7-day mark. So yeah, we still have about a week to get ahead of this, which is good. That's good time. That's ample time. And there's the satellite view for you one more time. We'll go visible high res and see what it looks like. Can't really see anything but from this zoomed in perspective. Let me zoom it out a little bit. True color, there we go. Yep, and there you go. There you have it. We already have some high-level cirrus trying to shroud the low-level circulation. We had some good overnight thunderstorm activity, and I think that thunderstorm activity really helped to amp up the release of latent heat. That's why it's starting to spin a little bit more aggressively, and we can see that iconic, just overall tropical look to it like this starting to come into play. On that very last part of the loop, you can see it. There you go. So I would not be surprised if we have Tropical Depression X and or Tropical Storm Tammy by the time we get into Monday, Tuesday. If not even sooner than that, we could have a depression on our hands. We'll see. A depression can form tomorrow. Tammy looks getting stronger faster than predicted. Edgar, that's, yeah, literally you took the words right out of my mouth. That's what it looks like. We could have a depression as early as tomorrow, Tropical Storm Tammy as soon as Monday, Tuesday. So between the next 24, 48 hours, I believe we're going to have at least a depression. At least a depression. El Nino's presence this year has been overpowered by the negative PDO and the record warm Atlantic. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on out there that's just messing up what should traditionally be happening. And I think that's also why our models are struggling as well, because they do take into effect, or they take into account, historical averages in climatology, and then the analysis data is only another piece of that segment. So they can't do their best when you already have a very strange situation in conditions like this. I have learned a lot about weather and patterns here. Great job. Thank you, Sharon. I appreciate that. I'm doing my best to try to educate and teach so that way you guys are picking up what I'm putting down and it doesn't seem like I'm just hurling weird information out of nowhere at you. What are the chances of something hitting South Florida? Lauren, very low, very, very low. I mean, unless somehow that stuff that comes out of the Caribbean to help generate that low along the mid-Atlantic states develops, right now it doesn't look like we're going to get anything tropical. Best to just monitor the weather and don't predict. Just give possibilities and let people draw their own conclusions, because at the end of the day, that's what they'll do regardless of what you say. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. Especially on a platform like this where it's not an official source and people are going to, yeah, like you said, draw their own conclusions, try to fixate on their own little things and go about their business. But I'm trying to communicate the entire picture. Where is this going? This is going west for now, and we're watching out for our folks in the Leeward Islands and British, U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and so on. We're still just off the coast of Africa, so we have about 5 to 7 days to really interpret and analyze what it's going to do and what the pattern over the rest of the Northern Hemisphere is going to do for that matter. Seems the circulation wants to get together under 10 degrees north. Yeah, I mean, it's down there right now. It's definitely below that line. There's our 10-degree latitude line. And it looks like our center is trying to spin up right about, it looks like it's somewhere in there. It's hard to tell with all that cirrus dense overcast starting to take place. So that CDO that you've probably heard some people mention, looks like it's somewhere right in through there, though, at the very end of the loop. Let me pause the end and see if I can kind of draw it out. So there we go, there we go, there we go, there we go. And there's the end. It looks like... Maybe, yeah, it looks like, from what the winds look like, we have inflow there, definitely inflow there, definitely there. So our center is somewhere right in through that general area. And we can go ahead and cross-reference this with windy.com. Windy.com will definitely help us out. Let me clear that ink, and let's see. There's Sean. Oh, yeah, that thing is definitely very south, very low latitude. Very low latitude. Now, granted, this takes into account the curvature of the Earth, so it's going to look a little more south than what it does on satellite. Let's see if we can turn on lat and long. We should be able to. Radar and satellite, wind gusts, rain temperature, clouds, equal more layers. Where are we at? Pressure, freezing altitude, geopotential heights. Let's go pressure. 2983, so it's starting to get down there. Where are our lat and long, though? There should be latitude and longitude on here, or at least I thought there would be. I don't see why there wouldn't be. Hurricanes. There goes this system. Balavin, Sean, tropical. That's not a tropical depression. You fooled me for a second. Yeah, you definitely fooled me there. Windy, 94L, and there's a 92L out of nowhere. I mean, you could argue that it's a tropical depression, or wait a minute, let's go to National Hurricane Center. Did they upgrade it? No, they didn't. No, okay, I got worried there for a second. I was going to say, hold on, did we miss something? But no, that's just windy.com being windy.com. Why can't I find, let me see, latitude. Oh, I guess we can't turn lat and long on, but that's definitely way down there. In comparison to where Sean is, there's our center right there. And you can already see a pretty decent wind field going along it. Let's see if it stacks. Surface, 950, 925, 850. Pretty good stack. 700. Yep, still have a closed center. 500. There we lose it at 500. So we're all the way up to getting close to 600 millibars. 600 millibars. It stacks up to 14,000 feet, give or take. So it's definitely organizing. We're definitely seeing that vertical extent increase. So it's strengthening. That's what that means. It's definitely strengthening. Let's go to east. And we'll go back down there on the satellite. And there you have it. Not a whole lot of dry air out there to do much to it. Let's go to visible satellite. We'll go to the red visible satellite, and there you go. There she blows. All right, guys. Could Gonzalo 2014 be a good analog, or Tomas 2010? I'll take a look at that. Whoa, after the stream. A bit off topic. Currently sitting outside in Fort Pierce and wondering what time peak eclipse, even 60% would be. Terrible timing on my end. Gosh, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's some charts out there that we could pull up or look at. The 820 millibar vorticity charts would be great to see where the strongest vorticity is. 850, yeah. I still believe this will hit the U.S. It's going to miss the cold fronts. I mean, we'll see. It's a very low chance of happening. But we'll wait and see. But I definitely, supernova, with what you said, getting going under 10 degrees, yeah, I think that's what it's going to do. I know on this website we can get Latin long. Let me see. Product overlays, mapping, latitude and longitude. There we go. So yeah, we're way south of the 10-degree latitude line. There's our 10 degree right there. And then there's our storm center somewhere in that general area. So we're definitely in the lower latitudes. Definitely much lower than we've seen most of our storms this year. Most of them are somewhere in between where Sean is and through here. And that's where they formed, and that's what made them that's what made a lot of them fish storms. Because they were forming well to the north, just around the Cabo Verdes. This one's definitely way off to the south. So, yeah. We will see what happens. There we go. Pop my ankle. I needed that. The solar eclipse will bring higher tides. We just might see Tammy... I can't read. I have the heart there. I can't read what the rest of your comment is, Tiffany. Might see Tammy I can't read the rest of your comment. I'm trying to, but the thing is in the way. There we go. Tammy, due to this tug of war. We just might see Tammy due to this tug of war. Oh, yeah. Regardless, we're going to definitely see Tammy. Tammy's definitely going to form up here very soon. Very soon. But also the lack of ridging, too. Check the KMA quickly before ending the stream. Let's do it. Let's see what it looks like. There's the UK bringing it in. KMA, here we go. We got a couple more panels. So, yeah, there you go. Moving right through is a strong storm. Let's go to the mean sea level pressure and see what we got there. Mean sea level pressure... 997, 990, 985, 978, 977, 973. So looking at a Category 2. That's what I've been looking at. That was what I've been saying the last couple of days. My gut tells me Category 2, maybe Category 3, if the environment stays favorable. We're seeing that shear dissipate pretty quickly, and it's already starting to consolidate, so we can definitely get to Category 1 strength quickly. So, yeah, there you have it. I wish there was a way I could zoom in. Let me see if I can get this a little closer. Central America, Caribbean. Here we go. We can get a closer look now. There you go, guys. Definitely a solid Cat 2 working its way through there. You look at the wind speeds at 850, and that's not looking too great. Oh, this model isn't totally or that parameter isn't totally loaded in. Let's go 10-meter winds. There you have it. So that's bad. That's really bad. Dare I say it, I'm hyping, but you know what? I mean, look at the chart. Just look at it. Off to finish laundry. Y'all have a great day. Sharon Jackson signing out. We'll see you soon, Sharon. Hurricane go to Puerto Rico. I in Puerto Rico. I don't know about that. 973 millibar is a pretty hefty hit. We're going to definitely have to watch because we have this model bringing it in. We have the UK model bringing it in. We have the Euro getting very, very close. And then the Canadian model takes it straight through. So we have a number of different major model platforms still tracking it through there. So we're not out of this yet. If people start advertising that it's definitely going to go north or they know it's going to go north, tell them to shut up because we definitely have a lot of wriggle room still in this position. Okay, I'll take that back. Don't tell them to do that, but you know what I mean. Like, don't take that as a solid concrete answer just based off of what we're looking at here. There's still a number of different models that take it right through the same general area. You can see it in the UK model, bringing it right in that same general track, a little bit weaker. You saw the Euro a little bit ago. The control member of the Euro bringing it right through that same general region, just a little bit stronger. And then we all saw the Canadian model taking it right through the islands towards Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. So we still have a ways to get our bearings. We still have a ways away before we can fully understand what's happening. I just missed a phone call. Oh, it's no one important, spam. In about 15 or 20 minutes, expecting 80, 90. That's true. Shucks. Does anyone want to stay on here until the 2 o'clock update for the probabilities? because we have over 100 people watching. I didn't think I was going to have this many people watching on a Saturday afternoon, but let me know in the chat if you guys want us to stay on. I can push my video a little bit. I can do a quick video. I mean, technically, this live stream is like a video. We're going over everything I'm going to cover, so I'm not sweating the main segment. I can always do something much shorter and abbreviated. So if you guys want to stay on the stream, we can. I have no opposition to that. We have, like you said, about, we'll say 20 minutes max until we get an update. So I'll let you guys decide. Let me know. Yes, yes, yes. Sure. Yes, sir. Cat 2 or 3. Yes. Thumbs up. Handy. All right. Well, let's hang out then. Let's get another 20 minutes of the stream. I mean, what's 20 minutes going to do for us, right? Let's see if there's anything else we can look at. I'm good either way. Got a ton of kids in business, so I may have to be in and out. That's okay. I mean, you don't have to stay in. We do bring up a very valid point, though. It's 1:30, so we're going to get that next 2 o'clock advisory. Usually they're a little early on it, too, so we can keep refreshing every couple of minutes and see what comes up here and see what happens because, I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely see. Let's see if the full run of the GFS is in now. North Atlantic. Let's go towards the back end of the run. Yeah, see, the GFS has that random low pressure just chilling over the Yucatan. That's weird. Definitely weird. And then we have the Canadian model bringing that thing right through, direct hit. Actually, that thing is in line with the KMA, come to think of it. The Canadian model is right on track with what Korean model is indicating. Going right through the same general area. So pretty good consistency with some of our models. The Korean model doesn't want that nor'easter system to push the fronts too far out into the Atlantic. You can see our neutral point in the winds is right there. Right in through here. You can see the streamlines intersecting. So that's our force field right there. And that's why this wants to track like this as opposed to going up sooner. Because you have this high pressure in the top right corner that's still sitting out there. Then a nice little high pressure in the Gulf of Mexico. Is there any way that blocking ridge can get strong enough to slow down the pattern enough and it gets to Florida? Digital dentistry, not that much. Not that much. It'll definitely fall apart one way or another because of how much strong energy in the jet level we have coming up from the west. And if it did make it to Florida, and if it did, hypothetically, if it did make it that far to the west, it would still stay in the lower latitudes and become a West Coast problem. It wouldn't be East Coast. It would still definitely stay south and move up through Jamaica, Cayman Islands, and then Florida, somewhere along the Gulf Coast there. But that's an extreme hypothetical scenario. Extreme. That's not, I don't see that happening whatsoever. That's something very confident I can eclipse. I read your message, Ethan. I got a picture of the eclipse. Very good. We got to throw it up in my throw it on my Instagram so I can take a look. Oh God. See, even right now, I'm going to put this person on blast. Even right now, I'm getting comments saying I'm hyping. Getting comments as we speak. All busts. I don't know where you're getting, if you're watching this right now, I don't know where you're getting busts from. That's for certain. Again, I mean, I can check my video titles, dude, but I know for certain I was not predicting a tropical storm all this time. That's for certain. So I don't understand. I drive an eclipse. Nazario, I said it's better to HP than to be, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and even in essence, this isn't really hyping. Hyping would be if I said, it's definitely going to the Caribbean, Cat 5, watch out, life-threatening. That would be hyping. Right now, all I'm doing is letting people know that we have a potential scenario that could get, bad. And that's it. That's not hyping. Hyping is definitely being very, very full of hyperbole and adjective. Life-threatening hurricane will impact the Caribbean islands. That's hype. Oh, that's weird, Ethan's life. Let me go ahead and check that. That's weird. I see your page. Maybe if I follow back, let me see. But yeah, even in the midst of this chat hyping, I don't get it. All right, let's go ahead. Let's check National Hurricane Center. It's 1:35. Refresh. 8 a.m. still. All right. You know what we haven't looked at? Let's take a look at our Canadian ensembles. I haven't looked at those in a little bit now. I don't think I even looked at 12Z yesterday. So let's see what our Canadian ensembles are showing just to kill some more time. So Canadian model has a little something developing out there in the Caribbean. It's been very insistent that something's going to develop. There goes our system out there, and then there we go with another round of something big. Like, look, we might be able to kill the next 20 minutes of this stream very easily because I want to know why it is the Canadian model. You can see the Canadian is in very, very, very good agreement. Look at that tight clustering of its ensembles. Only a few want to miss the islands. About 60% of those bring it right through our island nations there. So it goes without saying, there's still a lot to monitor. So let's jump over and let's take a look at our good old MJO. Let's go to Climate Prediction Center. There's our tropic hazards chart. I mean, towards the back end of the month, they still have an area of above 20% chance of tropical development down there. So there's one little layer of the puzzle. Let's go back. Let's go to MJO and see what we have in terms of our oscillations. Where are we at? Let's see. Here we go. So the GFS has a little bit of favorable conditions coming towards the very back end of the run. Here is our Euro probabilities. Very weak, but the MJO is still setting up out there. The climate forecast system definitely has an area of favorable conditions, and MJO sitting over top of us until we get into the first pieces. Actually, it comes back middle of November, according to the climate forecast system. Let's see. Let's go over to weathermodels.com. We'll go to Model Lab, and let's take a look at our upper level vorticity. We've seen that before. Vorticity chart. So, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can see what the Canadian model is thinking. This is our control Euro product for upper level vorticity and favorable conditions. And you can see area, actually, let me erase that. Favorable conditions all through here for much of our tropical Atlantic until about the 23rd of October. And then once we get towards the 25th through to the beginning of November, it looks like our entire Caribbean and especially the Gulf of Mexico could really get some good upward vertical motion out there. According to this iteration of the Euro, this was 0Z yesterday, or I should say this morning. So Cat 4 into the Big Bend, worst case scenario. Yeah, I agree. Central American gyre season started when October started, so it's definitely a signal we can't ignore if other models jump on. I agree. Holy, look at 12Z GFS in the Caribbean. GEFS in the Caribbean. GEFS. So let's go to our ensembles. Got to come down here to this Caribbean. There we go. Let's go through time. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff coming out of there. What's very interesting is as you go towards the tail end of the run, Southern Caribbean, right there, that stuff coming up there and there from hour 168, this stuff in through there, that ebbs and flows very well with what we saw on that 0Z Canadian data. Yeah, I mean, I trust ensembles more than I do operational models that far into time. Operational models definitely change it. Mind looking up the satellite. The eclipse is showing up dark. Satellite looking crazy. It's so damn... What's going on? Like, where? What satellite? For us down here? Which satellite, guys? Oh, yeah, look at that. Never mind. I see. Wow. Looks like Independence Day. It's funny we brought that up during last night's live stream. Look at that. Actually, you know what? I'll be right back. This is not a sponsored video, but my HelloFresh also arrived. I see it out there. I can see it. I got kind of flashbanged. I probably should have done that with my sunglasses on, but yeah, look at that. That's awesome. It's over the Yucatan right now. It looks like Independence Day. There it is, at least on this satellite loop. So it just moved through parts of Florida. It's still kind of over us right now, moving through. And that's pretty awesome, I'll admit. That's pretty cool. True color infrared. Let's see. Nope, that's not showing it. Let's go to tropical tidbits then. We'll go this one. What are you doing? Oh, yeah. Wow. Look at that. That's weird. Should take a screenshot. I'm going to take a screenshot of that while I have it. That's pretty awesome. Desktop. True color eclipse picture. That's dope. I like that. Thanks for bringing that up, or we would have missed it altogether. All right, it's 1:42. Let's see what we got on National Hurricane Center. Refresh. 2 p.m. Still 70-90. Still 70-90. Showers and thunderstorms associated with air low pressure located several miles south of those Cabo Verde Islands have not become better organized this afternoon. They have not become better organized this afternoon. I don't know if I agree with that. Environmental conditions are becoming more conducive for further development in the tropical depression on the tropical storm can form in the next couple of days. So I feel as if National Hurricane Center just mailed in that discussion. I think they just mailed that discussion in. Not a whole lot of new information. They didn't change the probabilities. So I think they mailed that discussion in. And I know that's what people are going to report on later tonight. They're going to mention, it could get more organized as we go forward. And, no. Look at the real-time data. I don't know why they're putting has not become more organized. I don't understand that. At least they're on board with it forming in the next couple of days. So, all right. Let's go ahead and get ready to close out this chat. We've definitely been on here for much longer than we traditionally do. There's a lot of cloud cover in my area, so I can't see the dang eclipse. I'm sorry about that. Southern Caribbean prime for tropical development, and yes. Yeah, it is. It looks like it's still definitely ripe. Definitely ripe down there. But okie dokie, everybody. Let's go ahead and start calling the stream. we shall see what's what later tonight. Very heavily debating on if I even want to make a video now that since we spent so much time in here, but I probably will. I'll do something very short to kind of recap everything, just get it out there for everybody to see, since I know those videos tend to get a lot more attention than these ones do. So yeah, thank you for joining me this afternoon. I'll see you again later today at the usual 6 o'clock for our next main update. And I will be honest, we probably won't do another live stream tomorrow. I know I told you I wasn't going to do one today, but I figured after everything that trended overnight, might as well do something for around the lunch hour to see when things come in. Euro is going to start coming in very soon, too. Not yet, but we should have 12Z Euro data starting to come in very soon. Well, what's very interesting on the GFS is a lot of those things coming out of the Caribbean look fairly strong. They're all going down into the 900s. That one that gets going and hits Florida, that goes down. That model wants it to drop down to about 980. 980, and then that one right there goes down to, wow, that one gets going. That one's down to about like the 970s, 960s. And then those ones that get going also have a number of those centers, all those centers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 all go down to between 985 and 975. We'll have to see. We'll definitely have to watch. Still, all the same principles apply. We'll definitely still have to keep watching. So, Euro doesn't have anything down there. But going back to what I said at the beginning of the stream, you know, we got to look at everything. So, but all right, folks. Daniel, good to see you in here. Thanks for joining us. We're just getting ready to end the live, unfortunately. I'm sorry you missed it. Will it affect Trinidad and Tobago? As of right now, it looks like it'll pass to the north, but we will have to continue to watch it because there's still a bit of spread. So, in terms of what we're seeing right now, current trends, no, you guys should be good down there. Thank you very much, Zenful. Thank you, everybody, for joining me on this Saturday afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure getting ready to talk all this weather. Let me get one more tropical encounter this season. Dahlia literally went around you. That is true. You know, we're in the time for something to come out of there. We're definitely in the time, so it's anybody's best guess. Oh, excuse me. We still have couple weeks. So we'll have to wait and see. But, alrighty, folks. I'm going to go put my Hello Fresh away, and we'll see you later for a quick segment of Weather Center Nazario. I'm probably going to do something short just to recap everything and go through some of the dynamics and mention the nor'easter, and then that'll do it. I haven't looked yet, Ethan's Life. I'll take a look here in a second. But thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any additional questions, as I always mention, please drop them in the comments section or when I provide my full video. Feel free to reach out there or even just send me an Instagram message if you'd like. If you have me on that social media platform, any of the above works just fine. I'll make sure to get back to you at a moment's notice. Daniel, I'm glad that you made it in here, buddy. I'm glad to see you. Signing out. We'll see you again soon. Thanks, brother. Much appreciated. Keep up the great work. Devil Charger, thank you very much for that. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of ground to catch up on still, so we'll see what happens over the next few days. I'm definitely leaning in that Monday through Wednesday of next week is going to be pivotal for what happens with this system and what happens in here. We got to get closer in time to see what's going on with this because GFS has been off the chain with low pressures coming out of the Caribbean, and they've been slowly trending up as well. So we'll see. Miss Leah, you're very welcome, hun. Dark Earth, thank you for joining. Either way, thank you for popping in. I know that you've been out and about, so thank you nonetheless. Thank you, everybody. I hope that you've been having a great Saturday. I hope that you had the opportunity to take in the eclipse as it swooped through, looking all Independence Day on the satellite image. We'll talk to you very soon. We'll still have our full segment later today, so you can also check that out as well. And, yeah, Tomorrow we might be dead in the water, no video, no live stream, unless, again, something big happens or I get the urge to see you guys again. So we'll see. You never know. I'm just as unpredictable as the weather. Could be a live stream, might not be, could be. We got to take a look at one, see what the Euro is predicting in terms of my probability of doing another live tomorrow. Oh, heck yeah. You know what that means. It's about to rain over there. But best weather community right here on YouTube. I definitely agree. So much camaraderie. Everyone's in here having good conversation, good collaboration. It's good stuff. It's very wholesome, very fun. And that's why I don't mind jumping in these lives and talking to everybody. It's always a fun time. And we all come up with a general consensus and look at the big picture. But all right, guys, we're going to sign out. It's almost 2 o'clock. I'm going to take a small break, and then maybe by 3:30, once the 12Z Euro comes in, I'll start filming my next video, have it up for you guys to 6 p.m. So have a great rest of your afternoon. Stay safe out there. We have a lot of work to do still ahead of us. Lots of areas to watch. October isn't over until it's literally over and we turn the calendar page. But we'll see. And then as we go through time, we can start looking and determining what Halloween's going to look like. Check out the eclipse when you grab your HelloFresh box. Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Floridians, y'all have a beautiful day. It's Brian Selfmade, over and out, the best, arrest the best, Star Wars and the best. There will ever be that. I appreciate that, Brian. All right, guys, I'm not going to drag this on any more further. We'll see you again very soon. Make sure to tune in for today's full video update. I may go into a bit more of the nitty-gritty, especially looking at our high-res models when they populate, the HWRF, halves, A and B, and all that. And, yeah, we'll see. But nonetheless, you'll have a video later today, and tentatively, nothing tomorrow. So we'll see you again on Monday after that. But until next time, guys, this is Weather Center Nazario, signing out.